Hey everybody, I wanted to make a quick video to show you guys just how fast I can sketch on Topodroid and export those files to my computer and then have Therion generate a nice looking map from that data. So first thing I'm going to do is just go into Topodroid and go to a test file that I already populated with some survey data and go to the plan sketch. So there's nothing in here yet. But what I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to have to sketch in Topodroid for Therion. And what does that mean? The first thing it means is that you're going to draw the lines the correct direction. So what that means is that when I draw this line here, I'm drawing it clockwise around the inside of the passage, which takes a little bit to get used to. You can tell I've done this correctly if I click the edit button up here, the finger, and then I click the wall, and you'll see down at the beginning of the wall, it'll have this little yellow line. That yellow line needs to point to the inside of the passage. It needs to point to basically to where your survey stations are. And you also can't have any errant walls like I just drew there, because that'll mess up Therion. So if your wall is it's pointing the wrong direction, you can always click this button over here, and that'll switch the direction of the line. So now that would be facing the wrong direction. So I'm going to fix that again. Now it's facing the right direction, and I'm going to continue drawing this around. The other things to do to really make the map feel final is press this button in the top here. That will be visible if you use the settings that are available right over here in my Therion template and builder, the settings_topodroid in the GitHub link that I'll link below. So I press this button so it has those white things on the side, and then I can continue drawing my wall, and notice how right there it connected those walls. So if I draw here and then I draw there, it connects those walls. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish drawing this all the way around the passage, just kind of draw what a cave might look like. And then when I'm done, I can go ahead and maybe check my walls to make sure I drew them correctly. You can see that little yellow line. Boom, drew it correctly. That's facing the inside of the passage. Okay, so those are two things, connecting your walls and drawing your walls the right direction. The next thing is that you can actually use these symbols, and they will export correctly as long as you're using Therion. I also have Therion set up so that it will, or I have Topodroid set up so that all these symbols are drawing at approximately the same size that they're going to be exported as. So these are going to export nicely, and they're also going to clip. So you can see this ceiling step right here. Let me fix the direction on that one. Even though this is an imaginary cave, this ceiling step right here, it'll get clipped at the edges of the walls, like right there and right there. Ignore that. Okay, so then I'm going to go and just keep adding a bunch of symbols just so you guys can get an idea of how I actually draw. There's probably a little sump back here. So we're going to draw the area like that, the area of water, and that's going to come in, and again, it's going to be clipped to the edge of the passage. If there's a sump back there, there's got to be water somewhere. So I'll go and add the, maybe it's in, I'll just do the regular water flow symbol. So I'll just draw that, there's a water flowing from this direction, and it's going, out here and down there. Maybe there's some mud over here. Maybe it's sloping down right around here. And this is kind of a custom slope symbol that I've made for Topodroid, so it won't look the same on your screen unless you use some of the symbols that I'll probably make a video about later. And I can also add in, the air draft symbol, or what else can I do? I can say there's some debris somewhere. I really like the debris symbol. I think it looks nice. This may be a bunch of debris over here. And then another thing I really like to use is the wall debris symbol. Maybe this is kind of a breakdown wall right over here. I'm going to draw this wall correctly, but, going the correct direction, that clockwise direction. But now there's going to be a breakdown wall there. And, maybe I'll just finish it all off with a label of breakdown wall. And then I'll draw, a little arrow to that because I like to keep the text is a little weird because it's, a quick little thing, but it's aligned right here in Topodroid, but in Therion it's going to be aligned center unless you change it. Weird little thing if you know like HTML or something. So I draw an arrow there so that even if this kind of gets moved around, it'll still have the arrow, pointing directly to it. So there's that. I'm going to draw a quick cross section just to show you guys that it's a possibility, and I'll draw that, draw it from here to here, and just that little X indicates where the cross section is supposed to be, so that's where it is on this line. But this is a really weird interface from Topodroid. So I'm just going to draw a quick little test passage. So drew the wall the correct way there. I can be finicky about it and kind of try to make it nice and edit and move some of that stuff. I'm going to use the pit symbol here, and I think this is a good example. I can draw that and do, maybe there's water coming out of the side of this passage or something. This doesn't fit what the actual passage looks like, but it's interesting nonetheless. Now we go back, and you can see where that cross section is. The yellow line points the direction that you're looking for this cross section. I'm going to edit this little square here. That's the cross section. I'm going to click the edit thing up at the top, click X section and save, and then you can kind of see the outline of that cross section. And I like to move it so it's a little bit out of the way for when I export this. And this looks pretty good to me. There's also a extended profile that you can do. I kind of already did this one, but yeah, I won't go into that anymore. So then I have it set to auto export. That's in the Topodroid settings, but I can come in and click, export that sketch, click export on this sketch, and then make sure I go back to the very beginning and hit survey info, export, and export Therion. And you can click any of these. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes I have the maps export because it pulls scraps for it. So if you're not using the auto builder, but that's a whole other thing. So that's all exported. And now I'm going to go and I need to get those files to my computer. So I'm going to go to my files and I'm going to go to this button right here, this internal storage. I'm going to scroll down to documents, then go to TDX, Topodroid, and then I'm going to find that cave that I was just working on, which is called testing cave. So testing cave out, and here it is. So I'm going to grab this, I'm going to highlight all these, and I'm going to click share. I'm going to send this to my Google Drive. And I'm specifically going to send it to this folder called tablet dumps that I use. I just send everything from my tablet to here so then I can get organized on my computer. So I did that. You can see it is now populating on my computer. And now we are pretty much ready to go and work with Therion. So I am going to click all of these, and I'm going to try to download them. And hopefully it doesn't take more than just a couple seconds to zip these. Sometimes for some reason it takes forever. So I prepared for that, although it looks like it did come. So I'm going to export this. Now I'm just going to export it here into my downloads folder. We're going to open that up. Great, so everything is there now, and normally what I would do is I would start fiddling with this, and it doesn't take that much to do it, but I would get the files ready to be compiled for Therion. But now I've built this thing called tyautobuilder.py, and I can come in here and click that, and then click this download button over here, and that'll bring this to my downloads folder right here, tyautobuilder.py. And I'm going to bring that into that folder that we were just in, and I'm going to paste it in here. This is a Python file, and you need to download some of the dependencies that I've listed here in the remember install dependencies.txt. But once you do that, it's very easy. As long as you have installed Python, you can do it. And you just double click on this, or you run it with Python, and it'll open up the command prompt. And the command prompt will say, enter your survey name. So I can name this something else. I can name this Ellison's Day 6. And then it's just going to run the program. And what that's doing here is taking all of those files there. It's taking out the survey out of testingcave.th. It's grabbing all of the scraps out of these .th2 files, and it is putting them into a new .th file. And it is also then building a compile file and a symbol set file that's all ready to be compiled and make those Therion, and be compiled and make all the Therion maps. So I actually have this so it automatically will just attempt to run Therion and compile the maps, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to actually open up this file here and show you what it looks like, just so I can scroll down to the bottom. I'll click compile, and you can see when I built this, it exported that we're going to make a plan map at the scale of 200, 1 to 200, and it's going to have it named correctly. And now that this is running, I can't move around with it, but it's going to make a PDF and an SVG, and then it's going to do the same for the extended profiles. And I'll open up this. You can see that this is running, and we just generated one PDF, and now we're going on to the SVG. So I'm just going to go over to this output folder that it made, and I'm actually going to open up this PDF and see what it looks like. So let me pull these things down so you can see there on the right is the Topodroid sketch, and there on the left is my Therion map. And that is just for the, this is the PDF of the plan. And then in a second, it should pull up the, I don't know why this seems like it's going quite slowly. In a second, it'll pull up the plan SVG, and then it'll start to make the profile as well. I think that this actually looks pretty decent. You can see the slope symbols on Therion are a little larger than my slope symbols that I use, or I have put into my Topodroid. Also, same thing with the mud symbols, but that's just because of my Topodroid symbology programming skills are not very high. You can see this cross-section came in quite nice, and also that all of the clipping that we wanted to happen did. This ceiling step got clipped, this pit line got clipped, this area where the water is got clipped. Now our profile comes in, and let me switch over to that on the tablet, and again, looks pretty nice, I think. This template isn't perfect, but it's, it makes my life a lot easier. This took, all of 2 minutes for me to do. I can do it all while running a video and talking about it the whole way through. It takes very little brain power, and I think it produces a really nice final product. So, thank you.